Good evening, Alex, Dawn, Michael, Alex, and my husband, Michael. Welcome. I'm talking about cannabis biotechnologies. Here is my outline and my key points that I'll be discussing today. So cannabis is the oldest plant in China's civilization. And I'll be giving you some information today about cannabis and hemp. There are three main ideas. The first main point that I'll be going over for you is the cultivation of cannabis. The second one will be the varietal uses of cannabis and hemp. And the third point we will be finishing up by informing you about the legislation and deregulation of cannabis and hemp. There are countless applications for cannabis. And let me begin by telling you a little bit about its background. According to the book Pharmacology of Herbal Medicine, cannabis is one of civilization's oldest cultivated plant. In addition to its psychoactive effects, the cannabis plant has also been used for its fibers. Hemp fibers have been found in China dating back as far as 4000 BC, and ropes in China were dating back as far as 3000 BCE. It's not so, we're not sure if the psychoactive purposes of the plant was used at that time and place though. So it moved on to America in 1776. And the settlers from Europe brought it over because they had it, because it was brought to them from Asia. And so let's move on to discuss some of its uses. So the fiber is used for industrial purposes for the replacement of concrete in Canada. Anybody know that? Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And according to the Bloomberg report in the article, it states that around the world, builders that are putting modern twists on the ancient construction methods here. They employ the hardy hempweed. More recently, the former White House advisor, Steve Bannon, had weighed in on the so-called hempcrete that they're using in Canada to build walls. And early indications say that it's possible to tap in for a demand for cleaner alternatives to cement. Cannabis seeds have also make hemp oil. The cannabis seeds are also made for CBD oil, and that's coming into deregulation here in Texas with the 86th legislature. They have deregulated the hemp seeds to make the hemp oil, and it's used for multiple purposes. Also, some recreational marijuana has also been deregulated as well for seizure disorders. Now, we'll move on now to the criminalization of marijuana and the decriminalization of marijuana. In a book named Hemp Basics, from 1776 to 1937, hemp was a major American crop here in the United States. It made textiles, and it was very common. But the White House had a war on drugs in the 1970s, and it got put on and lumped into a bunch of Scheduled I drugs that caused psychoactive effects, as well as they thought that it was well, anyway. The atmosphere of self-censorship, where they were speaking of hemp in a positive manner, was politically incorrect in the 70s, and it was taboo. So now, 27 states have deregulated the use of marijuana and CBD, and now we can also, as I said before, in the 86 legislation, they have also deregulated it. But I did see that took some things. There are some confusion in the state regulation where medical marijuana is at 0.5%. CBD oil is at 0.3%, where marijuana, which is not legal here in Texas, is now at 10 and 20% of THC. So that's what the confusion is between medical marijuana and recreational use. So shining a positive light on cannabis for its diversity. I just told you about giving information about its history, some varietal uses, and also the path from deregulation to legislation. Okay, and such impact in the world's industry has become a solid part of the medical community. I thank you very much for listening to my speech today. Thank you.